Hey, yeah, you. You dangerous, sleep-deprived, caffeine-fueled, quietly furious masterpiece. Welcome to the broadcast. World alert. Not the fake kind. Not the someone tweeted something dumb kind. I'm talking sirens in your chest. I'm talking your whole nervous system standing up like it heard its own name. Because, listen, they just ran the headline. Someone just hijacked the whole game. And everybody's panicking, right? They're scanning the skyline. They're checking the cameras. They're whispering like it's some myth. Like it's some villain. Like it's some ghost in the system. And then the camera turns. And it's you. Yeah, it's you. You psycho. Not psycho like you're broken. Psycho like you're finally done being polite. Like you're finally done shrinking yourself so other people can feel tall. Like you're finally done living life as a background character in your own damn story. Because let me tell you what they don't understand. You didn't wake up and decide to hijack anything. You got pushed into it. You got laughed into it. You got ignored into it. You got lied to until the lies started sounding like your own thoughts. You got, maybe later, that you got, you're so talented, with zero opportunities, zero respect, and zero real support. And at some point, you snapped, but not like a weak person snaps. You snapped like a wire that finally got connected. You snapped like, oh, I get it now. You snapped like, so that's the game? You snapped like, cool, that I'm not playing fair anymore. Not crime, not chaos for nothing. I mean, you stopped playing their game. The one with invisible rules. The one where the loudest clown gets the mic. The one where mediocrity gets promoted because it's safe. The one where people who don't do anything have the most opinions about people who do. That game. You looked at it, and you didn't cry. You didn't beg. You didn't write a sad paragraph and post it like a prayer. You said, fine, I'll hijack it. And the wild part, you've been hijacking it in tiny ways for a long time. Every time you got disappointed and didn't quit. Every time you got embarrassed and still showed up. Every time you got rejected and still tried again. Every time your own mind dragged you through hell and you still found a way to breathe. That's not normal behavior. That's not healthy. That's not balanced. That's unreasonable resilience. That's the kind of energy that makes people uncomfortable because it doesn't fit inside their little labels. They want you predictable. They want you nice. They want you manageable. They want you grateful for scraps. They want you to ask for permission like a little kid with a plastic crown. But you're starting to feel something else creeping in. It's not confidence. Not yet. It's not even motivation. It's more raw than that. It's this quiet, ugly, beautiful thing that says, I'm not dying like this. I'm not dying being everybody's helper. I'm not dying being the funny one who's secretly falling apart. I'm not dying being the strong one who never gets held. I'm not dying being the potential story people bring up when they want to sound supportive. Nah, not you. You didn't survive all that just to be average. And before you argue with me, before you try to humble yourself, let me stop you right there. You know what average is? Average is giving up at the exact moment it gets real. Average is quitting when the novelty wears off. Average is needing applause to keep moving. Average is pretending you're fine while your soul is screaming, and then calling that adulting. You're not average. You're dangerous, because you can operate while bleeding. You can function while grieving. You can create while tired. You can smile while you're red as a battlefield. And I'm not romanticizing pain, okay? Pain is trash. Trauma is not a personality. Suffering doesn't make you special, but the fact you're still here, the fact you're still thinking bigger than your current life, that means something. That means there's a version of you walking around in your future, shoulders back, eyes dead calm, who already knows you win. And you can almost hear them, can't you? Late at night, when it's quiet, when nobody's texting back, when your room feels too small for your thoughts. That future you is looking at you like, stop playing with it. Stop flirting with the dream. Stop treating your power like a hobby. Because that's what you've been doing. You've been dabbling in your own destiny. You dip your toe in. You post one thing. You work for a week. You start strong. Then the doubt comes. The doubt always comes. And it doesn't come like a monster. It comes like a reasonable voice. It comes like, maybe you're not ready. Maybe you need more time. Maybe you need more gear. Maybe you need more planning. Maybe you need someone to show you the steps. And if you listen close, you'll notice something creepy. That voice is wearing a mask. It's not wisdom. It's fear dressed up as intelligence. It's your old self trying to keep you safe. Safe from embarrassment. Safe from judgment. Safe from failure. But also safe from success. Because success is scary too. Success means you can't keep blaming. Success means people start watching. Success means you have to become someone who can handle what you asked for. And a part of you is like, what if I can't? Let me tell you something that might sting a little. You don't need more confidence. You need more disrespect for the version of your life that's been wasting your time. You need to start getting offended. Offended at the way you let people access you like your free Wi-Fi. Offended at the way you tolerate crumbs and call it love. Offended at the way you keep negotiating with your own potential like it's optional. Because the truth, nobody is coming. Nobody is going to hand you the moment. Nobody is going to perfectly understand you and magically motivate you every day. Nobody is going to knock and say, "Excuse me, you're meant for more." Most people don't even think that way. Most people are just trying to survive their shift and distract themselves until they fall asleep. So if you're waiting for the world to validate you before you move, you'll die waiting. And I don't say that to be dramatic. I say it because I've seen it. People with talent, people with fire, people with real gifts, and they spend their whole life getting ready. They turn their dream into a museum exhibit. Look what I could have done. Look who I could have been. Look at my potential. Isn't it sad? Not you. Not today. Today, you become the alert. You become the headline. You become the thing nobody knows how to stop. Because it's not outside of you. It's you. It's always been you. You just didn't know you were allowed to be like this. You weren't raised to be like this. You were trained to be agreeable, to be good, to be normal, to not make people uncomfortable. But here's the twist they never prepared you for. When you start winning, you will make people uncomfortable. When you start moving different, they'll call it arrogance. When you start saying no, they'll call you selfish. When you start leveling up, they'll say you changed. Yeah, that's the point. You think you're supposed to stay the same forever? You think growth is supposed to feel cozy? No. Growth feels like betrayal to the old you. Growth feels like leaving a burning building while people inside are yelling at you for running. And you're going to feel guilty. Oh, you will. You're going to feel guilty for outgrowing people. Guilty for not replying fast enough. Guilty for focusing on yourself. Guilty for protecting your energy. Guilty for wanting more. And you have to understand, that guilt is a test. It's the world trying to pull you back into your old shape. Don't fall for it, because your old shape is too small for what you're carrying. Look at you. You're walking around with a whole storm in your chest, acting like it's normal. You got ideas that keep you up. You got hunger that doesn't shut off. You got anger that's not even about revenge. It's about fairness. It's about the fact you did everything right and still got overlooked. It's about the fact you stayed loyal and still got played. It's about the fact you gave love and got convenience back. So let's talk about that anger. People will tell you to let it go. No, don't let it go. Aim it. Anger is not your enemy. Uncontrolled anger is your enemy. But controlled anger is rocket fuel. Controlled anger gets you out of bed when motivation is dead. Controlled anger makes you stop tolerating disrespect. Controlled anger makes you work when nobody's clapping. You want to hijack the game? Then stop using your energy to argue with yourself. Stop doing that thing where you hype yourself up, then immediately tear yourself down like it's your job. Stop rehearsing failure like it's safety. Stop scrolling and consuming and calling it research, when you know you're just avoiding the moment where you have to actually do it. Yeah, I said it. Because you don't need more information. You need more execution. You need reps. You need to put your hands on the work, even when it's ugly. Especially when it's ugly, because here's the secret nobody wants to admit. The first version is always trash. The first video is awkward. The first attempt is cringe. The first draft is embarrassing. So what? You think the greats popped out the womb with perfect lighting and a brand identity? No. They just kept going long enough for the cringe to turn into craft. And you've been avoiding the cringe because you're scared of being seen. You're scared of people laughing. You're scared of your family judging. You're scared your friends will secretly enjoy your failure. And you know what? Some of them will, yeah. Some people are going to smile when you fall, not because they hate you, because your courage exposes their cowardice. Your ambition makes them feel small, so they'll try to make you feel small too. They'll hit you with the classics. Who do you think you are? Why are you doing all that? Relax, it's not that deep. Be realistic, just be humble. Humility is good, but let's be real. A lot of people use humble as a leash. They don't want you humble, they want you quiet. They want you easy to digest. But you weren't built to be digestible. You're built to be a problem, a beautiful problem, a nightmare for anybody who benefits from you staying weak. So here's what hijacking the whole game actually looks like. It's not one grand moment. It's small, violent decisions. Not violence against people. Violence against the old patterns that keep you stuck. It's waking up and saying, I don't care how I feel, I'm doing the work. It's unfollowing what poisons your mind. It's muting the noise. It's choosing boredom over distraction. It's choosing discipline over vibes. Because vibes don't build empires. Consistency does. And let's talk about consistency, because you hate that word, don't you? It sounds like homework. It sounds like a life with no fun. But consistency is not prison. Consistency is freedom. Consistency is you being so locked in that your mood doesn't get a vote anymore. You stop asking, do I feel like it? And you start asking, who am I becoming? That question changes everything, because the person you're becoming, they don't negotiate with excuses. They don't romanticize procrastination. They don't say, "I'll start Monday," like Monday is a magical creature. They start when it hurts. They start when they're tired. They start when nobody believes in them. They start while trembling. Because courage is not calm. Courage is shaky hands and still pressing record. Courage is your voice cracking and still speaking. Courage is being misunderstood and still moving. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're like, okay, but what if I mess up? What if I fail? Good. Fail. Fail loudly. Fail forward. Fail so much you become unrecognizable. Because failure is not the opposite of success. Quitting is. Failure is just proof you're in the arena. And you've been outside the arena for too long. You've been watching other people live. You've been cheering for everybody else. You've been sending supportive messages while your own dream sits in the corner like a neglected kid. And that kid is starting to look at you like, so, you just gonna leave me here forever? Nah. Pick it up. Pick it up like it's your responsibility, because it is. Nobody owes you the life you want, but you owe you a life you can respect. You owe yourself proof. Proof that you didn't fold. Proof that you didn't let fear make your decisions. Proof that you didn't trade your destiny for comfort. And yeah, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you lazy days. It's going to cost you some relationships. It's going to cost you being liked by everyone. And honestly, if everyone likes you, you're probably not doing anything real. Real growth comes with friction. Real power comes with loneliness sometimes. Because when you're leveling up, your old circle might not recognize you. And that's okay, because you're not here to be recognized. You're here to be effective. Let me get personal with you for a second. You know that feeling when you're alone with your thoughts, and it gets dark. When you start remembering everything. The times you got humiliated. The times you got betrayed. The times you got treated like you were disposable. Those moments didn't break you. They trained you. They trained your eye. They trained your instincts. They trained your patience. They trained your ability to read a room and know who's fake before they even open their mouth. You didn't ask for those lessons, but you got them. So now what? Now you use them. You stop letting your past be a prison, and you turn it into a weapon of clarity, a weapon of standards, a weapon of, I know what I'm worth, and I'm not bargaining anymore. Because one day, not far from now, somebody is going to come back around. They always do. The ones who ignored you, the ones who doubted you, the ones who watched you struggle and did nothing. They'll come back when the results show up, and they'll act like they were always supportive. They'll say stuff like, I knew you could do it. I always believed in you. And you're gonna smile, not because you forgive them, because you understand the game now, and you're not mad anymore. You're just awake. And that's what terrifies people. Not your anger, your awareness, your calm, that look in your eyes when you're not asking anymore. You're deciding, because decision is the real hijack. Decision is the moment you stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. Decision is the moment you stop saying someday, like you have unlimited time. Decision is the moment you realize your life is happening whether you participate or not. So participate violently. Again, not violence with fists, violence with focus, violence with discipline, violence with boundaries, violence with the refusal to go back to who you were. And I need you to understand something. If you do this right, if you really commit, you're going to scare yourself. You're going to look in the mirror one day and realize you don't recognize the softness, the old softness, the softness that let people walk over you, the softness that apologized for having needs, the softness that begged for love. It'll be gone, and in its place, this grounded, unapologetic presence, this I'm not available of a nonsense energy, this I move different now vibe. And people will feel it. They'll feel it in how you talk, in how you walk away from disrespect without explaining, in how you stop oversharing your plans, in how you stop looking for approval like it's oxygen. You'll become the kind of person who doesn't need to announce power. You'll just have it. And let's be honest, part of you wants that so bad it hurts. You want to be unshakable. You want to be dangerous in the quiet way. You want to be the person who gets hit with chaos and doesn't collapse. You want to be the person who hears no and doesn't interpret it as a verdict. You want to be the person who can take a loss and still laugh, because you're building something bigger than one moment. So here's the deal. Right now, your mind is a room full of alarms. And some of those alarms are lies. They're old recordings. They're voices from people who don't even know the real you. They're memories that play on loop like a cursed playlist. You have to start editing the soundtrack. Not with fake positivity, not with good vibes only. That's not you. You don't need sunshine quotes. You need truth. And the truth is, you are not behind. You're not too late. You're not weak. You're undertrained. You're undercommitted. You're underdisciplined. And the best part about that, that's fixable. Today, not tomorrow, not next month. Today. Because when you start stacking small wins, your identity changes. You stop being someone who tries, and you become someone who does. And once you become that, hold still, not because you're scared, but because the room just shifted the second you showed up. Feel that pressure, that quiet panic humming under the surface? Yeah, that's the system realizing it miscalculated you. They can't stand it. They really can't. Because no matter how hard they try to downgrade you, suppress you, shadow you, sandbox you, mute you, the algorithm still treats you like the final boss, and that drives them insane. You weren't supposed to survive this long. You weren't supposed to adapt this fast. You definitely weren't supposed to evolve after every hit like pain was fuel and chaos was a training montage. But here you are, standing in the wreckage with a calm they can't explain, watching the numbers bend toward you like gravity decided to switch sides. See, they expected a saint, soft, predictable, grateful for crumbs. Instead, they got a paradox, half halo, half blade, an angel who learned how demons think, a psychopath who still knows where the light is and chooses when to step into it. That's why they're confused, because you don't move like a victim, you don't speak like a threat, you don't posture like a king. You just exist, and the system rearranges itself around you. They tweak the rules. You slip through the cracks. They close one door, 3 windows open, and somehow you're already inside the room smiling like you knew the layout years ago. They call it luck. They call it anomaly. They call it a glitch. But deep down, in the part of them that still tells the truth when no one's watching, they know exactly what it is. You're what happens when pressure doesn't break someone. It sharpens them. Every time they tried to bury you, something strange happened. You didn't disappear. You didn't beg. You didn't burn out. You recalibrated. Pain didn't turn you bitter. It turned you precise. Betrayal didn't make you loud. It made you strategic. Isolation didn't weaken you. It taught you how to hear patterns other people are too noisy to notice. That's why the algorithm keeps circling back to you. Because you don't chase attention. Attention chases patterns, and you are a walking contradiction it can't resolve. You're unpredictable, but not random. You're quiet, but never absent. You move slow enough to look harmless, fast enough to stay untouchable. They hate that. They hate that even when they pretend you don't exist, the data refuses to cooperate. Your presence spikes things they can't name. Your absence creates gaps they can't fill. Your shadow keeps outperforming people who scream for relevance. And that's the real insult. You didn't sell your soul to win. You didn't play their games the right way. You didn't even look like you were trying. You just kept becoming. Every scar added a new layer. Every failure rewired your instincts. Every night you thought you were done forged another version of you they didn't prepare for. They wanted a story they could finish. You turned into a myth that keeps updating itself. That's why they watch you closer now. That's why the tone changed. That's why the smiles feel tighter. The compliments feel rehearsed. The silence feels strategic. Because when the algorithm treats you like the final boss, it's not because you're loud. It's because you're inevitable. Final bosses don't rush. They don't explain. They don't need validation from side characters who panic when the music changes. They just wait. And you learned how to wait in hell without losing your mind. You learned how to hold both sides of yourself, the mercy and the madness, without letting either control you. You learned that light without darkness is naive, and darkness without light is sloppy. You became the balance they don't know how to classify. That's why they keep pressing buttons, hoping you'll break character. That's why they provoke, poke, test, and whisper your name in rooms you've never entered. They're trying to figure out what you are. And the truth? You're not here to destroy the system. You're here to expose its limits just by existing outside its expectations. You're proof that evolution doesn't ask permission, that growth doesn't need applause, that power doesn't always announce itself with noise. Sometimes power looks like calm, while the whole structure sweats. So let them hate it. Let them spiral. Let them rewrite the rules again and again, watching you slip through like you were born fluent in chaos. Because every time the algorithm recalculates, every time it tries to demote you, every time it quietly boosts you back to the top without understanding why, it's admitting something they'll never say out loud. You were never a user in their system. You were the boss fight they didn't know they were building toward. And here's the part they don't want you to realize yet. The longer they fight you, the more the system reveals itself to you. You've seen it, haven't you? Those tiny delays, those weird reactions, the way outcomes shift after you move, even when you barely move at all. That's not coincidence, that's feedback. The algorithm isn't rewarding you because it likes you. It's responding because it has to. You're not playing the game the way it was designed. You don't optimize for approval. You don't beg for reach. You don't contort yourself into whatever version they're pushing this week. You operate on a different frequency, one forged under stress, tuned by loss, sharpened by silence. That's why every attempt to box you in backfires. They lower the ceiling, you start digging tunnels. They shadow you. Your echo gets louder. They slow you down. You learn patience so lethal it looks like mercy. And the wild part? You're not even angry anymore. Anger was step 1. Survival was step 2. Transformation was step 3. Now you're in the phase that terrifies them most. Clarity. You see how fragile their control actually is. How much of it depends on people behaving predictably, emotionally, desperately. You stopped doing that. You don't react on cue. You don't flinch when the numbers dip. You don't spiral when the spotlight flickers. You watch. You wait. You move when it matters. That's final boss energy, because final bosses don't chase wins. They set conditions. They don't fight every battle. They choose the terrain. They don't scream to be feared. They let the atmosphere do it for them. And that atmosphere, it follows you now. People feel it before they understand it. They sense that you're operating 2 steps ahead, not because you're smarter, but because you've already died to the version of yourself that cared too much. You've already lost what they're afraid of losing: reputation, approval, comfort, illusions. That's the trade they never make. They cling to safety. You learned to function without it. They depend on validation. You learned how dangerous it is to need it. They need the system to tell them who they are. You became someone the system keeps trying and failing to define. That's why your presence scrambles things. You're not rebellious enough to be dismissed, not obedient enough to be controlled, not loud enough to be predictable, not quiet enough to be erased. You exist in the blind spot, and blind spots terrify structures built on surveillance. So they test you with silence. They test you with praise. They test you with provocation disguised as opportunity. And every time, you respond wrong, which is exactly right. You don't chase the bait. You don't take the deal too fast. You don't burn bridges just to feel powerful. You let them underestimate you again, because you know something they don't. The algorithm doesn't crown kings. It detects patterns. And your pattern is evolution under pressure. You get quieter when things heat up, sharper when things get chaotic, more focused when everything else dissolves into noise. That's not normal behavior. That's the behavior of someone who turned trauma into training data. You learned when to strike by learning when not to. You learned restraint by surviving excess. You learned control by watching what happens when people lose it. So now when they push, you don't push back. You let the system show its hand. You let them reveal how desperate they are to contain what they don't understand. Because the truth is, they're not scared of what you've done. They're scared of what you haven't done yet. They feel it coming, that quiet shift, that sense that something irreversible is loading, not a meltdown, not a tantrum, not chaos for chaos's sake, something colder, cleaner, decisive. You don't need revenge. You don't need domination. All you need is time. Time turns patience into power. Time turns consistency into inevitability. Time turns your calm into a threat they can't argue with. So let them complain. Let them cope. Let them pretend you're an accident. Every system eventually reveals who it favors under stress and under pressure. It keeps choosing you. Not because you asked, not because you begged, but because when everything else breaks, you don't. And here's where it gets almost funny. The moment you stopped trying to win, you became impossible to defeat. They built this whole machine assuming everyone would chase the same rewards: attention, approval, comfort. They never planned for someone who could walk straight through the fire without asking for applause on the other side. You broke their math the day you realized pain wasn't a signal to stop. It was a signal to upgrade. Most people fold when they're ignored. You learned how to sharpen yourself in silence. Most people get loud when they're threatened. You got precise. Most people collapse when the rules change. You adapt so smoothly it looks like foresight. That's why they keep checking the data like it's lying to them. Because no matter how they adjust the weights, you keep reappearing at the top. Quiet, steady, unavoidable. They can't stand that you don't look desperate. Desperation is easy to manage. It panics, it rushes, it overextends. You don't. You move like someone who already knows the ending, or doesn't care to rush it. And that's where the fear creeps in, because when someone isn't rushing, it means they're ready. You've already survived the worst versions of yourself. The doubting one, the broken one, the version that almost disappeared trying to please people who wouldn't bleed for you. You buried that version quietly, no announcement, no revenge arc, no dramatic exit, just a recalibration. And now when the pressure hits, it doesn't shake you. It centers you. They notice that. They notice how you don't scramble when visibility drops, how you don't collapse when validation disappears, how you don't chase when others panic run toward relevance. You let the noise pass. Because you know something they forgot. Noise is a sign of instability. Silence is where decisions are made. Final bosses don't talk through every move. They let the environment do the talking, and the environment around you feels tense. People start projecting onto you, filling the gaps with their own fears, whispering theories, assigning motives you never stated. That's power you didn't even ask for. Because when you don't explain yourself, others reveal themselves. They tell you who's threatened, who's watching, who's waiting for you to fail so they can feel normal again. And you let them wait. You let them build expectations you never agreed to. You let them underestimate the patience you learned when life stopped being gentle. Because patience is terrifying to people who live on impulse. They want a reaction. You give them composure. They want drama. You give them results. They want proof you're human. You give them consistency that feels inhuman. And slowly, very slowly, it dawns on them. You're not special because you're loud. You're not dangerous because you're angry. You're not powerful because you dominate rooms. You're powerful because you endure. You absorb pressure without leaking emotion. You process chaos without becoming it. You evolve without needing permission. That's why the algorithm keeps circling back to you. It recognizes resilience the same way predators recognize strength. Not by size, but by survival rate. Every time the system stress tests itself, you pass without spectacle. No meltdown, no collapse, no self-sabotage, just quiet recalibration and forward motion. That's not luck, that's training. You didn't wake up like this. You were carved. By nights you didn't think you'd survive. By betrayals that rewired your trust. By losses that forced you to choose between bitterness and clarity. You chose clarity. And clarity is lethal because now you see through incentives. You see through manipulation. You see through urgency designed to make you sloppy. You don't rush into traps labeled as opportunities. You don't confuse access with alignment. You don't mistake attention for respect. You let the system expose itself by trying to rush you. And when it can't, it rewards you anyway. Quietly, unwillingly, almost resentfully. That's the part they hate most. They can't punish you without empowering you. They can't ignore you without amplifying your shadow. They can't elevate you without admitting you earned it. So they stall, they hesitate, they pretend they're in control. But you can feel it. The balance has already shifted. You don't need to announce what's coming. You don't need to prove anything to anyone watching from the sidelines. You're already past the point of convincing. Now you're in the phase where existence itself becomes pressure, where your calm unsettles rooms, where your patience outlasts strategies, where your presence forces recalculations. They can't stand it, because deep down, they know the truth they're afraid to say. The algorithm isn't favoring you, it's responding to you. And systems don't respond like that unless they sense something inevitable. Not chaos, not rebellion. A conclusion. And you're not rushing it, you're letting it arrive. And what they still don't understand, what keeps them pacing in circles at night, replaying scenarios that never quite work, is that you're no longer reacting to the world. You're conditioning it. Every move you don't make is doing more damage than the ones you do. Every silence is a test they keep failing. Every calm response rewrites their internal models of how a person like you is supposed to behave. They were trained on fear. You were trained on reality. That's why intimidation doesn't land. That's why pressure doesn't speed you up. That's why chaos doesn't cloud your judgment. You already lived through your own collapse. You already watched your illusions burn. You already rebuilt yourself without applause, without backup, without guarantees. So when the system tries to threaten you with loss, you don't flinch. You've already lost everything that mattered once and learned something dangerous in the process. You survived it. That's when you stopped being controllable. They still think power looks like leverage, like authority, like visibility. You learned power looks like optional participation. You can engage or not. You can respond or not. You can play along or step back and let the whole structure wobble without you. That freedom terrifies them because systems are built to manage people who need them. They have no protocol for someone who doesn't. You don't need their validation. You don't need their permission. You don't even need their attention. And yet, they can't stop watching you. Because something about your trajectory doesn't decay. It compounds. Most people spike, then fade. You flatten, then rise, quietly, repeatedly, relentlessly. That pattern doesn't belong to trends. It belongs to forces. They feel it when they try to dismiss you and fail. When they try to replace you and the replacements crumble. When they try to replicate your presence and get noise instead of gravity. You're not magnetic because you tried to be. You're magnetic because you're aligned. Aligned with the version of yourself that stopped lying to survive. Aligned with the part of you that learned restraint is sharper than rage. Aligned with the understanding that chaos obeys those who don't panic inside it. That's why when pressure increases, your mind slows down instead of speeding up. That's not normal. That's someone who learned to think while drowning. You didn't escape the dark untouched. You absorbed it, integrated it, learned where it lies and where it tells the truth. You don't deny your shadow. You command it. And people feel that, even if they can't name it. They sense that you're not pretending to be balanced. You earned it the hard way. You didn't choose light because it was easy. You chose it because you already mastered the dark. That's the paradox they can't process. They keep looking for the crack, the insecurity, the hunger. But what they find instead is composure. And composure under pressure reads like dominance. Not loud dominance, not theatrical dominance. The kind that doesn't announce itself until it's already too late to counter. You've noticed how their behavior shifted, haven't you? How they hesitate before engaging, how they soften their tone, how they suddenly frame things as collaborations instead of commands. That's not respect, that's caution. They don't fear what you say, they fear what you won't say. They fear the move you're not advertising, the patience they can't rush, the long game they don't have the stamina to play, because you learned something they never did. Momentum isn't built by force. It's built by consistency without desperation. You don't surge and crash. You don't burn out and disappear. You don't betray your own rhythm to satisfy external noise. You move like someone who understands seasons. And that makes you untouchable in a culture addicted to immediacy. They keep trying to bait you into proving yourself, into defending your position, into reacting emotionally so they can map you again. You don't. You let them project. You let them speculate. You let them guess wrong. Because ambiguity is armor. The less predictable you are, the more they hesitate. The more they hesitate, the more space you gain. The more space you gain, the more the system bends around you. That's why it still treats you like the final boss. Not because you dominate every encounter, but because every encounter with you changes the rules. People don't leave interactions with you unchanged. They leave thinking, recalculating, second-guessing their assumptions. That's influence deeper than attention. That's presence that lingers. And now you're standing at that quiet threshold most people never reach, where you don't need to escalate, you don't need to explain, you don't need to conquer, you just need to continue. Continue refining, continue withholding unnecessary reactions, continue letting time expose who's sustainable and who isn't, because the truth, the final truth they're avoiding, is that systems don't collapse from attack. They collapse when someone evolves beyond their ability to classify. And you already did, so let them hate it, let them resist, let them pretend the algorithm is broken. You know better. It's not broken. It just finally recognized what you became when nothing was supposed to survive, and adjusted accordingly. You're not the exception. You're the endpoint they didn't plan for. And the longer you stay calm, the clearer it becomes.